I'm going to start my thread back from the eye of the hook. We're going to leave ourselves lots of room up front because we have all kinds of things going on in the front of this. I have about a 5-inch piece of mylar tinsel here. I'm going to attach right where my thread is now. I'm going to lay it on the shank of the hook at a 45-degree angle, and with one loose turn of my thread, and then I'm going to pull my bobbin towards me to tighten that. I'm going to take 5 turns to attach that in good shape. Now I'm going to wrap my tinsel. And mylar tinsel, what I want to do is I want to wrap this side by side without overlapping. I want the nicest, smoothest body I can get. When this overlaps, it kind of bunches up. And I want this nice and smooth. Watching out for that point of the hook back there. Put my finger back there and come around it. Once I get back to the bend, I'm going to take one wrap and then start forward. Again, trying not to overlap. If I don't overlap this, it'll look like one solid piece of gold tinsel with very few lines showing where it butts together. Once I get back up to where my thread is, I'm going to take it in my right hand, hold it straight up, drop my bobbin over the back with my left hand. I'm going to switch hands now and hold my tinsel with my left hand. With my right hand, I'll take my bobbin, I'll tighten up on the thread and pull towards me. Now I can let go of that tinsel and take 5 turns over the top of it. My tinsel's attached. All the materials I'll always cut holding them straight up on top and cut them from the top. That way I never cut my thread down below. My underbody of this fly is going to be material called Schlappen, and all it is a rooster or a chicken feather that's real webby. It builds up fast. It's great for tails and throats on flies. I'm going to pull that back and just pull some of those barbs off that stem. And I'm going to fold them over several times and crunch them together. Now I have something like that. Now right where my thread is now, I'm going to take those in my left hand and lay them right on the shank of the hook. I'm going to take one loose wrap with my bobbin and pull towards me to attach it. Then take 5 tight wraps, secure it. Now I can cut that feather off at the bend, and the butt ends up near the head of the fly. I have my underbody attached. I'm now going to prepare my wings. What this feather is a mallard feather that has been dyed gold that we're going to use for the wing. I'm looking for a feather that's fairly flat on the end, not pointed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that up against the shank of the hook here. I want to hold it at the bend here. Hold it flat against the shank of the hook. And push the eye of the hook through those barbs. From where that pushes through the barbs, I'm going to pull all those fibers off the back of that. Both the top and the bottom. Leaving myself a good stem to hold on to. Now I have that feather prepared. I'm going to do that with another feather for the back side. And I have my backside feather prepared. To attach this feather now, I want this so it folds over the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the feather, and off the bottom part of this feather, this is going to be the bottom of the fly, this is going to be the top of the fly. I'm going to pull a few of those barbs off. So now my feather looks like this. I'm going to take this feather and right where the stem is, I'm going to hold that right close to the squeeze it right on the shank of the hook. I'm going to take 3 turns with my thread. Then I'll take that stem and I'll pull through. So the top bobs, I'll pull through and I'll go just up to the bottom bobs. In that manner there. What that does is curl that feather around that hook just a little bit. Keeps it nice and flat. I'm going to turn my hook over. And on this feather, since this is the bottom of the hook, I'm going to take those bobs off the top. So now I've got my feather like this. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to squeeze that up against the shank of the hook, right where my thread is, and take 3 wraps. Now I'll pull on that stem to tuck those bobs underneath that thread. So I have something in that manner there. Now I can squeeze everything together, and I'm going to wrap those stems down almost all the way up to the eye. Down and then back. I want to wrap nice and smoothly so our hackle feather will wrap smooth. Now I can cut those stems off. For the eye of this fly, I'm going to use a jungle cock feather. I'm just going to take a couple small ones here. I want one on each side. To prepare this feather, I'm going to grab the tip. And I'm going to pull all those bobs off on either side. So I have a nice clean feather. I'm going to do that with both of them. I'm going to take my jungle cock feather, hold it up against the side of the shank of the hook where I want it again, hold it with my thumb, and wrap a few times over it with my thread. I'll turn my hook over, take my other feather, and attach it in the same manner. Hold it with my left hand, take some turns over it with my thread. And I go again, wrap down to the eye, near the eye of the hook, and then back nice and smoothly. Now I can cut those butt ends off. I'm going to prepare my hackle feathers to go on. And I want to attach 2 hackle feathers. I want to tie this as a dry fly. So I'm going to put 2 hackle feathers on to make this float a little bit better. I'm going to take, and you'll use only the best part of this feather. And I'm going to put those feathers one on top of the other, just leaving enough stem to attach. Now I'm going to lay those on the shank of the hook, right up where my thread is. Take one loose turn to attach them. Now I'm going to wrap back towards the front, nice and smoothly over those. I'm going to take one of those feathers and grab the tip of it with my hackle pliers. Now I'm going to wrap it towards the front. I want to wrap it nice and evenly, but I'm going to leave a little gap in there for my second feather to be wrapped. I want to get as much of this feather on here as I can. When I get up to where my thread is, I'm going to hold it straight up, drop my bobbin over the back. I'm going to switch hands, so now I have my bobbin in my right hand, and I can put tension on that thread and remove my hackle pliers. I'll take 5 turns over the top of the end of that feather to attach it. I'll grab my second feather and start wrapping that. Now I can cut both tips of those feathers off nice and close. Now using my hackle guide, I can put my thread through the slit in the hackle guide to the center, slide that up on the eye of the hook, and pull back all those fibers and finish off my head. Take my hackle guide off now. I'm going to take my half-inch tool, lay it on the thread, go one turn around the end of the tool with my thread, bring it up to the eye of the hook, and gently slide it off. Now I'm going to go twice around the tool and slide that off. I'm going to lift up on it now, and I'll lock all those threads in place. I can cut my thread. Now we almost have our hornburg done. I'm going to take the fly out of my vise now. With just a little bit of head cement, I'm going to apply that to the tips of those feathers. And I'm going to twist those and knead those. I want those tips to come together. Now they're getting sticky. They're really starting to hold together for me. Putting my hook back in my vise now, I can finish off the head of this fly with my head cement. Now we have our completed hornburg.